Good afternoon. In this video, we're going to go over this week's options watch list. Before I get into the watch list, if you're not in the room, you can find the link in the description of the video and in my bio section of the social media accounts. Also, please like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. This week, full week, of course. Looking at the economic calendar, got a couple things. I don't see Powell or Yellen speaking as of right now. I mean, we get our dose of the Fed speakers here and there, but not Powell or Yellen. And they end up changing. I mean, that could change, overnight. So that's why you got to look at the economic calendar every single day, because just because Yellen and Powell's not on the docket right now doesn't mean they won't be tomorrow morning or the next day or whatever. So, but as far as like other stuff, we have Wednesday we have CPI and core CPI Wednesday morning at 8:30. We have PPI and core PPI and unemployment claims Thursday morning 8:30. And Friday we have at 8:30 in the morning core retail sales, and yeah, got a couple numbers coming out this week that could move the market, pre-market. So we'll have to see what actually ends up happening. But with that said, I looked at the put to call ratio. It's really not that bad. It's not heavy on one side, so it doesn't mean that we're going to get a rug pull or anything like that. So got the daily cup and handle set up still right here on the daily. I just can't imagine us being up at the 390 level again and not filling that gap. But sometimes the things that I pointed out in the recap, and maybe it was a recap of the video lesson I did today, well, it doesn't matter, but when you have a daily setup that's very defined like this, that sometimes you get a lot, everyone's looking at it, everyone's seeing this, and market makers know this, so they could possibly try to pop it a little bit to lure in calls and people on the long side to kind of like fake them out. So don't be surprised. I got a little trend line right here on the hourly, and you can see it on the daily. Don't be surprised if they like pop it up to 395 or even a little over 395, because the market loves to overshoot and come back, pull back before actually going. So I'm not saying it's going to go straight to 400 or 405 or 410. I'm just looking at it from a psychological point of view, that it's very defined. Everyone sees it. Everyone's looking at it. Everyone's going to trade it, probably us included. But you got to anticipate that this could be a huge trap too, and which I'm thinking at this point in time that, yeah, it could break the neckline I have here drawn out, maybe pop to 395, which is gap resistance on the hourly and daily, and then fade back, come back, and retest this trend line before ripping up to 400 and filling the gap. I mean, it could go straight for the gap. It could actually play out and not have any games played, and it could go straight for the gap fill. But I'm anticipating a little shenanigans. We're going to pop to 395, come back, then rocket to 400. We'll have to see if that happens. I'm not quite sure, but anyways, we'll definitely watch it over. Hopefully we're not going to have any insane gap ups tonight, tomorrow. I didn't even look to see what futures is doing right now. I didn't realize it was past 6 o'clock already. Let's just see what futures is doing. Right now it looks like it's down 10 points, almost 10 points. So yeah, with that said, definitely be watching it over the 392 to push to 395. Now, if it does gap up over 395, then we could probably see a gap fill, but we'll have to see if that actually happens. It's going to be all dependent on how much the market gaps up or gaps down tomorrow. Will change the play significantly. That's why you need to be in the room, because we'll make that decision in the morning. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking. A push to 395, a fake out, then a push to 400 to fill the gap. Then from there, I mean, if it does fill the gap, we got a major resistance right here at 410, and the 415, 420 area. So we'll have to see what's coming up. We have FOMC at the end of the month, so we could have a little push before we have any pullback or whatever. So we'll have to see what happens. Weekly is shaping up really, really nice on SPY. I mean, any momentum behind it, we could rock it up to 410, 420 pretty fast. 420, actually the 415, yeah, 420 area will be pretty big for it to overcome. So that's what I'm looking at on SPY. And plus, if you look at the VIX is yeah, I mean, it's down here. You get double bottom at the 24 area, but the trend line I have on the weekly right here, it's got room down to the 20, 21 level. So now, like I said, I always say that the market likes to undershoot and overshoot things. So it could break this trend line and go under $20 really, really quickly for like 1950, then come back up. So the market loves to play these kind of head games and stuff like that. So we'll have to see if that actually happens or not. So VIX has got room to drop more, so it's not a do or die moment for SPY yet. We'll just have to see what happens. Tesla is another one. I get a lot of the tickers I have on here look the same. They're pretty much going to be very dependent on what SPY is doing. I mean, Tesla's weekly, very nice consolidation area. I mean, it gets over this let's see, the high from, what is this, Friday? It's the 8th. Yeah, Friday gets over this 765 area. We could see some movement on that and push to 790, 800 be a big psychological number. Then, you know, we have a little area right here around the 825, 820 area, 830, 850 be pretty big. So we'll have to see if it can get any momentum behind it. If Tesla gets any momentum behind it, I mean, we could have a really, really monstrous day on Tesla. We'll have to see if that actually happens. And now that Elon is backed out of the Twitter deal, we'll have to see if that has any impact on Tesla. I know it ran after hours. I didn't even check to see what it was after hours. The price was after hours because I don't have after hours up. Yeah, I see it's at 778 right now. So it's right up here at the 780 level. Right under, yeah, right here. So yeah, if it does get over this, we'll even say, if it gets over 780, so that's where it is at after hours. We'll have to see what it does at pre-market tomorrow. But 778 was the high and after hours, and it's 769 as of the end of close on Friday. So yeah, I would keep an eye on it over 785, 780, push to 785, 800 to, you know, 820, 825, 850. So definitely keep an eye on that. Next one is Microsoft. Microsoft looking the same way on the weekly. It's consolidating in this little area. You know, I'd watch it over Fridays. Is this Friday or Thursday? Let's see. Thursday's high of 2. You can round up and say 270. It gets over 270. It's got some room to, let's see, 275, 280, 290. It's got some gap fills right here over 290 to 300. So we'll have to see if we can get any momentum behind it and push to 300. It'd have to be a really solid week because Microsoft doesn't usually run that much, but we could definitely see it run to 275, 280. So definitely keep an eye on that. The weekly, just there's so many weeklies that look good. The question is, will the market let it run? Cup and handle too. You see cup and a handle. No, actually you can even see it. Inverted head and shoulders, the left, the head, and the right shoulder right there, and there's the neckline. Actually, you can see the neckline is right. You can see the neckline's right here around 270 if you want. I mean, I know this is a little higher. The inverted head and shoulders doesn't have to be perfect. I mean, you can run it that way, the line that way. You can run it this way. You can draw the line any way you want, but I'd say that this is probably a good line because you can see right here, it's resistance at the 270 and support right here before it broke down. So that 270 level is going to be pretty important for Microsoft. So it does get over that. It's got room to 280 and possibly even 290. Depends on how much momentum it gets behind it. Netflix has got earnings, not this week, but next week, I think the 19th. And it's consolidating down here, very, very oversold, with Stranger Things doing really well. I mean, I'm looking at for an ER run up this week. Obviously, the market's going to dictate whether it does do that. But sometimes, in rare occurrences, Netflix does not give two craps what SPY is doing and run on its own. So keep an eye on it over 190. 200 would be another big level. You got some resistance right here at 205. Then a little bit at the 210 area. Then this gap resistance here at 250. I can't imagine it will fill the gap, but we'll have to see what happens. But yeah, the gap resistance right there at 250. And sometimes Netflix gets some really strong momentum behind it. It could have some really nice big moves behind it, because I mean, you don't see it right here, but because it looks pretty hammered on. What's the range on that? 333 to 351. It's almost a $20 range. So Netflix can definitely run $20. It gets over 190. It could definitely run $20 from 190, maybe 220, which would be right about right here. Right where this resistance is at 215. So definitely get some momentum behind it. It can run. So plus you look at the 20 EMA on the weekly, it's right at the 250, almost at the 250 level. So it's got room. NVDA is another one that looks pretty good. What? NVDA, I did not type that right. Well, it doesn't quite look as good as the others, but I'm thinking, if it does manage to break out of this downtrend right here, you can see the trend line right here. Actually, I'll draw it so you can see it better. Draw it right there. It gets over that. You can see some movement. So for a push over you can say 160, because right now it's at 158. Push to 160, 165, 170, 175, and you get this area right here, 175. You can get 180. So then you get a lot of resistance right here in the 190 area. So watch NVIDIA, see if it gets momentum behind it. Amazon, I would think that we'd have a little bit of excitement over ER this time, because of so many stocks and beaten down. But you do have a head and shoulders right here, the left, the head, and the right shoulder, pretty big right shoulder, but still it's still there. But the weekly, it's consolidating right underneath the 115 to 110 area. So if it does manage to get out over 117, it definitely has room to push to 120, 125 to 130. You get a gap resistance right here at the 130, and you get a gap fill right here to 135. So not Netflix, Amazon, you get gap fill right there. We could possibly see this could have a nice little run if it does manage to get some momentum behind it. So be curious to see if it does do that. We're definitely watching Amazon. Roku, this thing cannot get out of its own way. I just keep holding out hope. Eventually, it's going to take off. I mean, I've been talking about it here, and just endless. Roku just cannot get out of its own way. Maybe this time will be different. I don't know. It's flattening out right here at the 70. The 75, 80 area. It's starting to consolidate, kind of bottoming out a little bit. RSI is starting to go up. We'll have to see if it actually can get over this 98, 100. I think that, if it gets over, I wouldn't even say get in at 100. I mean, you could get in over like 90, no, I'd say over this high, this candle, 97, 98 for push to 100. And the last couple of times it's got to 100, it's rejected it. It's had a harsh rejection right here. It did get over it, closed over it, but it did harsh reject the next couple of days, rejected it here. So yeah, if you do take it over 97, 98, be careful in case it does reject it again. But if it doesn't reject and takes off, we haven't seen a $20 move on Roku in a very, very, very long time. Maybe this time is different. Maybe it will happen. Maybe it won't. We'll have to see if it will or if it won't. But definitely keep an eye on Roku. Shop is the last one. Same thing. Consolidating, very, very oversold weekly. I would keep an eye on it I would get over the Friday's high of, so we can round up and say 37 for a push to 38, 39, 40. What is this level right here? 40. Once it gets over this 40 area right here on the daily, it could definitely start taking off, and we could have a push to 50. 50 is going to be a pretty big area if it can get over 50, and then we got 60, 70-ish area. We get 75, 80. So definitely could see some movement on shop. A lot of stocks look like they're geared to make a major pop. It's going to depend on news. It's going to depend on what's happening in the world, economic numbers, and stuff like that. So you need to be in the room. Everything could change overnight just on something simple happening, an event happening, a news happening, and it could change all the dynamics of the play. So got to be in the room. That's going to do it for the watch list, and hope to see you in the room. Thanks for watching.